Is there going to be another iPad mini? Yes, we think so, but sadly it didn't get announced at the Apple event on April 20th. We did get an announcement about a new 5th generation iPad Pro at the event, but sadly the iPad mini was a no-show, despite pictures said to be of the new iPad mini appearing in early April, when leaker Sonny Dixon posted photos of dummy iPad units on Twitter. However, no new iPad mini appeared in April. Well-connected analyst Ming-Chi Kuo indicated in May 2021 that the iPad mini will appear in the second half of the year. This echoes a March report from Korean site Naver that indicated that the iPad mini was currently in the design P2 stage beyond the R&D stage and the planning stage, and seems to be moving to the DVT P3 stage sooner or later. Based on that development schedule, Naver concluded that the iPad mini Pro model will be released in the second half of the year. It is not a big surprise that there will be another big gap between iPad mini generations. There have been big delays in the past. The iPad doesn't have the reassuringly regular release schedule of the iPhones, and the mini line is even harder to predict than the rest. The spanner in the works is that a new mini normally gets announced alongside a new version of the Air, but Apple announced a new iPad Air and iPad back in September 2020. Read iPad Air 2020 Review and iPad 2020 Review. Is the iPad mini being discontinued? We doubt it. Things looked bad for the mini line before the 2019 update, but it's now clear that Apple values its smallest tablet. Is there going to be an iPad mini 6? It hangs in the balance, but we think yes. Design: what will the new iPad mini look like? Things were kept broadly conservative in the 2019 update to the iPad mini, for obvious reasons. If the mini and Air had received the radical, home button-free design of the 2018 iPad Pro models, it would have instantly made those very expensive devices less special. Now that the 2020 iPad Air has launched and not only gone full screen with no home button, but actually retained Touch ID, could the iPad mini follow in its footsteps? There are rumors suggesting that the design of the iPad mini will change. That Macatakuro report mentioned above makes a few suggestions. Screen size will increase from 7.9 inches to 8.4 inches without increasing the overall size of the device. Screen will go almost all the way to the edge of the new model, but the home button will remain, as will Touch ID. The Naver report mentioned above makes slightly different claims about the screen size. It states that the dimensions of the screen will increase from 7.9 inches to 8.7 inches, and that the new model will be slightly longer than the current one. New features and specs. Specs-wise, the iPad mini's likely route is gentle incremental improvement, rather than a revolutionary overhaul. Here's what we expect to change. In general, when predicting features for the next iPad mini, it must be kept in mind that Apple will almost always want to roll these out to the Pros first, then trickle them down to the Airs and Minis the following generation, or later still. So, for example, a mini LED screen looks unlikely. Face ID or Touch ID? If the mini loses the home button, it is likely that Touch ID will be moved to the side button, as in the case of the iPad Air. It's certainly unlikely that the iPad mini will gain Face ID when the iPad Air didn't. In fact, there remain some doubts about Face ID on iPad, because tablets aren't picked up as much as smartphones. On the larger iPad Pro in particular, you often have to lean forward over the desk to get your mug in the camera's viewfinder. But that'll be far less of an issue with the light, portable iPad mini. Ming-Chi Kuo, an analyst with bags of experience covering Apple and a good reputation for accuracy, predicts that the mini will jump in screen size from the current 7.9 inches. Not just current, in fact, all 5 iPad mini models have had 7.9 inches screens, to somewhere between 8.5 inches and 9 inches. That's comparatively whopping. The Macatakuro report we mentioned earlier suggested